it's Megan with another video for the month of January. Woohoo! So I have made it through one semester away from home in college, and I have some tips and tricks for you guys who are recently going into college or maybe just starting out going away for college after doing a community college, or whatever your preference may be. I'm here to give you 6 tips, so let's get started. Number 1, know your disability. You're going to have a bunch of people at your college going, oh yeah, I've had somebody with your disability before. I know exactly what to do. So-and-so came by. Do you know so-and-so? No, you're not going to. And the one most important thing to know is that your disability is a lot different from what anybody else's disability is. You're going to have to know everything about it, because when you walk into that school or on that campus, you're going to have to be able to describe it like it's something nobody has ever heard of before. So if you're like me and you're blind, you'll have to be able to describe your vision like nobody has ever heard of vision loss before. Because sometimes maybe they haven't. There was tons of times at my colleges that I went to where they have had experience with somebody with vision loss, but not to the extent of my vision loss. So therefore, our accommodations are very different. Which brings us to point number 2. Know your accommodations. By senior year of your high school, you should know how to run your own show. You should know every single accommodation you need to survive on your own as a student. And if you're blind and you have a one-on-one aid or TVI, teacher of the visually impaired, by your senior year, your job is to put them out of a job. You want them to be on the sidelines and help you as little as possible. So you might need to know how to use the Braille printer if you're a Braille reader, how to get equipment, what kinds of equipment you need. Because when you walk onto that campus and you meet with the Disability Services Office, they're not going to know anything about you. So not only do you have to describe your disability, but you also have to tell them what accommodations you need. So some blind people like myself might ask for a note taker. And this is an accommodation you can get. It depends on the class as well. So if it's a class, like I had a philosophy class this semester, that was a little tricky because he'd say stuff, but then there would be stuff on the board, and there's stuff over here and stuff over there, stuff in the textbook, and it's all over the place. So I had myself taking notes for the auditory version of the class. So while he was speaking, I took notes. And then I had a classmate in there also taking notes. So they had what was written on the board and what he was saying. So then I could kind of combine those two together. So that is an accommodation you can get through your school, no matter where you go. You can also get recording devices if you don't want to ask somebody for a note taker. You can just have a little recorder on your desk, have that, and there you go. Some other accommodations that I used as a blind person was extended time and a different testing area. For me, I don't really have testing anxiety, but it comes about when I hear other people starting to get up and move. Then that makes me anxious and like, oh my God, I'm not going fast enough. I need to hurry up. Then the score doesn't come out so well. So with the accommodation, you get double the time or 1.5 times, depending on your disability. Again, something you need to know when you walk onto that campus. And then you get an alternative testing room. So one that's just you in there. And then they give you whatever accommodations you need. So if you use Kurzweil, if you use JAWS, if you use Zoom Text, if you use Magic, I don't think Magic is still a thing, but if you use Magic, that is an option. Zoom Text, whatever you use, they will have that available and ready for you. Which brings us to number 3. knowing who supports you. So yes, the disability office is a great support system. They know what to do. In some cases, they don't know every disability under the sun, which brings you to your having to know your own disability and what accommodations you need. Because every single one of you watching this is different. None of you are ever going to be the same. So knowing your support group. So when you leave high school, stay connected with your TBI. I still stay connected with mine. And I've had to call back to her a few times in college to get some assistance from the high school, whether it be tactile drawings that I remember having in science that would help me again when we went online, or just a simple thing like a talking calculator. The college did not have that, but the high school did. So just things like that, keep in touch with them. Or a support system that you have in high school, try to keep in touch with them for any disability that you have, because they can always loan out any equipment that you need or help you with anything that you need. They're always there to help. They're always happy to help. And yeah, another support system that you might want to check out is any support system related to your disability. Checking them out before you go to college. So I went to the National Federation of the Blind convention in Las Vegas before I went to college. And let me tell you, that was a big help. Because when things got ugly at the college, and I promise you, not to scare you, but sometimes it will get ugly and you will need to fight for yourself. So know your support group around you, the National Federation of the Blind, American Council of the Blind, American Federation of the Blind, the Lighthouse Institute for the Blind, any organization that can help you, that you know of that is related to your disability, I promise you will help you tremendously. Now we go to number 4, advocacy. Advocacy, and we get a big sigh from Hero about advocacy. He knows all about it, don't you? Yeah, advocacy is a big thing that they always promote in college. And I remember being a high school, middle school, whoever you are watching this, I remember sitting there, yeah, advocacy, blah, blah. You don't really get it until you have to do it, which is one of the things I was woken up to abruptly in college. But you will find your voice, I promise you that. I have had several times in college where I didn't get accommodations for classwork. Or this semester, I didn't get an accommodation in the dining hall. I asked for an assistant of helping me walk through the dining hall, and I was told, we can't help you anymore. You have to go do it yourself. You have to learn it by yourself. No problem. I know where I'm going. Problem is that the food keeps changing. So unless there's a way of me knowing what food is there without asking for help, it's not going to happen. So that is when you would have to speak up for yourself. And there are several blind people who've come to me and said, this teacher or this professor is not doing this. Should they be doing this? Most likely they should be. It's also their job to make sure things are accessible for you as well as yourself. But you need to advocate for that. No professor is going to know what to do until you say something. All they get at the beginning of the semester is this little email that says, hey, Megan's in your class. She needs these accommodations. That's all they get. They don't get anything about you. They don't get that maybe that you have a disability. They don't get anything about that. So what I generally do is I generally will write an email to the professor before class. So the disability office will send out their email saying, hey, Megan's in your class. These are her accommodations. And then I'll send out an email saying, Megan, I'm in your class. These are the accommodations I needed. I need these because I'm blind and I can't really ... And, I also mentioned to the professors that I have a guide dog and that the rules are still in effect for the guide dog. I generally have the professor make an announcement to the class about the guide dog because to me, it sounds better coming from the professor than myself because it's a student telling other students what not to do. And in my mind, that's not going to work. But if a professor says it, I think it has a bit more authority to it. Thankfully, I haven't had much trouble in class. It's the outside of class part. But all of that also comes with advocacy. So if you're a guide dog user advocating for your dog does not speak, unfortunately. So advocating against students, not to touch your dog, to obey your rules and respect them. Same thing with your professor. Sometimes professors forget the rules. And you just need to be able to speak up and tell them, don't do this. This is what I need. Because they, in the end, want you to be successful and you want to be successful. Number 5. Yes, number 5. Dorms. So as you live away from home, you're most likely going to live in a dorm. So I have a dorm room on campus, and because I have a guide dog, they were nice enough to give me a single, which in the hindsight of things was a great idea because Hero has as much stuff as I do when we moved in. So it was great to have our own room. He literally has his own closet at my school, and I have my closet. It is Hero's closet full of Hero stuff, and his stuff is all over the floor, just like my stuff is all over the floor. If we had another person there, plus us, that would be a mess. So that would be an accommodation you could ask for if you're a guide dog user, is to get a single. And at least it's nice when you first start out at college, away from home, because you kind of ease into dorm life. It's very different than being at home. So, and for me, I didn't know anybody personally to dorm with them. And for me, I need to be able to trust them and know that they're not going to do anything to Hero while I'm gone. They're not going to make a mess, or, they're going to be able to keep the room clean so I don't trip over anything. I just want to be able to know that person before I start living with them for a semester. But that's totally up to you if you want to just go in and see how it goes. You can do that. Or if you want to just kind of take it one semester at a time, you can also do that as well. There's no shame in doing that. And it's also with the dorm, you also have to think about cleaning. Mom's not going to be there anymore to do your cleaning. So you're going to have to go out and buy some cleaning supplies to clean your bathroom, your floor, clean up after you eat, take out the trash, the recycling, meager chores that you probably rolled your eyes at when your mom asked you to do them. And then laundry is also another thing. No one's there to do your own laundry. You got to do it. And these are all things I would recommend learning before you get to school. If you don't know how to do your laundry before you leave, you might as well learn it before you leave. You have a whole summer to kind of figure out how to do laundry, how to clean up after yourself. If you're not sure of how to do that, it's best to do it when you're home, so you have somebody there to kind of help you out. I promise you, it'll be pretty weird if you come up to your RA, residential assistant, and ask them, hey, how do you wash underwear? They'll probably look at you a little weird. I promise you that, because you should know that by now. And also, I want to tell you about the laundry. One thing I learned at school, you got to be pretty quick with your laundry. Because if you're not, somebody will take out your laundry and put it on the washer or in somebody's random basket. So if you're not on time, you'll have to set a timer for the washer and the dryer. If you're not on time to take that out, you're in trouble. So you better get down there as fast as you can before somebody takes out your laundry. I had somebody, I literally took my clothes out of the wash, put them in the dryer, and was about to start my next load of wash. And behind me, they were taking the clothes out of the dryer that I just put in and started piling them on top of the washer. Yeah. So you really have to make sure you keep an eye on your laundry. And what I did as well with the laundry as a blind person is I labeled the machines with bump dots. And it was mainly the settings that I would use most often. So I just used one basically setting that I use more often than not. And then I just had the bump dots on those. And then I also, since they have bottom row and top row of dryers, and it was hard for me to tell which buttons went to which without stopping somebody's dryer or starting an empty dryer, or these are all things that I've done. So I put little bump dots, and I put a braille bump dot H above the panel for the higher one, or if you spread them out a little bit, it could be a U for the upper one. And then I put a braille L underneath or above the panel for the lower one. And you will have to check some of these because sometimes it does rub off because of just the wear and tear of a washer and dryer. And sometimes, unfortunately, people will peel them off. So you can sometimes tell by the little glue that sticks onto the washer what button it was, but be prepared to have to restick them several times because people will peel them off. For whatever reason, I have no idea why. Another thing to think about when you're living in the dorm is that the hallways are always going to have interesting smells. It could be food, it could be whatever. The main big surprise for me was the smell of weed on campus. I said it, all of you now know, campuses have the smell of weed. It smells like skunk for any of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, but you'll know it when you get onto campus. My grandmother came and asked me what that smell was. And I had to tell her, that's weed. It's not in my room. It just kind of circulates into your room and then your whole room smells like it. So if you want, you could always buy an air freshener or a dehumidifier, or not a dehumidifier, one of those wall plugins to kind of mask that smell. If you're not a fan of it, I bought one of those room sprays. And so now my room smells like cookies instead of weed. But that is a big awakening if you're not used to that. So that's something to also be prepared for when you live in the dorm. So next we have is clubs. All campuses have clubs, sports teams, club sports, whatever they may be. And so does my school. My school has tons of clubs, so many options. As a freshman, you're going to want to do every single one of them, and you're going to overload your plate. I can promise you that. Pick maybe one or two your first semester, see how you do, see if you like it before you overload, because I hate to break this to you, but the first semester / first year of college for anybody is tough. It is tough for anybody with or without a disability. So I recommend you take it in smaller chunks. So maybe the one or two clubs, maybe you do a sport and a club, or maybe just a sport, and just kind of add it on as time goes on, because then you'll know the campus, you'll know your schedule, and most importantly, you'll know yourself. If you're a student that likes to procrastinate, then probably taking on 4 clubs at a time is not the best thing to do, because then you'll do all these clubs, you'll get so involved with them that you'll be up till 2 a.m. doing a 13-page paper that was due at midnight that night. So I just put that out there to save you guys from all of that stress right from the get-go. And number 6, last but not least, we have the dining hall, the crown jewel of every campus. Everybody loves the dining hall for the first 3 weeks. After that, I promise you, you will get sick of the dining hall. Maybe if your dining hall is a big, fancy, one of the bigger, fancier ones with a sandwich station and a soup station and a pasta station and a hot food station and a sushi bar and a hibachi table and just all these random chocolate fountain and any random thing you can think of. If they have all of those choices, you might not get bored with it. But for the smaller one, like I have at my school, it is kind of boring, and you get bored of it pretty fast. There's only so many ways you can eat French fries. They literally have French fries every day for every meal. And if it's not a French fry, it's in the shape of a hash brown for breakfast. So keep that in mind, that you will enjoy the dining hall food. I know I did for the first 3 weeks or so. And then as time goes on, you'll start to slowly fade, start to lean towards those quick meals, the chicken tenders, the French fries, the McDonald's, the Taco Bell, just for something different. You'll get so excited when somebody's like, hey, you want to go out to dinner? You'll be like, off campus? Really? Okay, and you won't even hesitate. I promise you that. And you'll come home and you will be at the dinner table in a heartbeat. You'll just sit there. You'll be like Hero. You'll just sit there and start to drool at the smell of your parents' or guardians' cooking, because you'll be so excited to not eat fast food anymore. And that's the other thing, is that if you have a dorm like what I do, where you just are allowed a coffee pot, a microwave, and a fridge, you start to learn how to make smaller things pretty quickly. The microwave mac and cheese is always good. I went to the grocery store a lot, and I got just some lunch meat and just made them up into little rolls. Just wrapped up some like turkey with cheese in little rolls, or got some hummus and some crackers, and just little snacks like that, which is nice to have in your dorm for those days you really don't want to walk to the dining hall. And then it's also, if you are up north like me and you get snow and it gets cold and it gets icy and it gets dark earlier, the drive to go outside and go to that dining hall goes way down. So having some food in your dorm is a great backup plan. Just try not to eat all your food before the snow or cold comes, because then you're out of luck. Learning from experience. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope you found some helpful tips and tricks to be able to survive college. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you have any suggestions or any tips that you've used, put it in the comment section down below. I also want to mention, for those who are blind and visually impaired, the trail orienteering video, which is on my channel. It's called Trail Orienteering for the Blind and Visually Impaired. We are now offering courses for any college student who wants to be able to go around on their college campus independently. Just let me know what college you're at and what your courses are, and we can come down and help you set that up so you can have an independent and successful school year. I'll see you next time.